Hello kids, Suzanne here, Angel Intuitive and Spiritual Guidance Counselor. And the question of the day, are you an addict? Where does our mind go when we hear that term? Most of the time people think, oh, I don't do drugs. I don't drink. Yes, I do. Don't do drugs. Don't do drugs, kids. Drugs are bad, okay? You know, what other kind of addictions? There's so many addictions. Food addiction, sex addiction, gambling addiction. What if we have an addiction to emotion? What if what if we're addicted to a feeling of fear? What if we're addicted to that feeling of guilt? What if we're addicted to the feeling of being less than? That's a big one. So this one came up this week. And we don't think about it, but that can be an addiction, a subconscious addiction, or maybe it's a conscious one as well, where we're so used to being verbally or emotionally abused that, okay, it doesn't feel good, but it feels good to feel. Does that make sense? Thinking about that one? It's kind of like, you know, someone who, even bad attention is at least attention. You know, that's, you know what I'm saying, if you've heard that term before. But it's like, oftentimes people wonder why they keep repeating the same situations or the same types of relationships or friendships or whatever. And it's like, why do I keep attracting the bad guy? Why do I keep attracting this kind of energy? Well, what if you're addicted and you're bringing it in? You know, besides putting that vibe out that that's what you deserve maybe in your mind, which you don't, it's never the case, just saying. But what if it feeds that addiction? Because then it gives us our sense of self. You know, how many people do you know that is their identity, of being the abused person or the neglected person or whatever, just the sad person? You know, oh, people always treat me so bad. It's like, well, why do you allow it, and why do you think that is? You know, is it an addiction? Are they getting something of it? That's always my go-to is, well, what are you getting out of that? You know, what's the gift in it? And, well, it's not a gift to be have people be mean to me. It's like, well, you're getting something out of it if you're, one, allowing it, and if it keeps happening, if you keep bringing that in. You know, finding the source of that addiction. You know? And oftentimes people are, that's kind of the thing. Even, so, like saying being addicted to guilt, what does that mean? It's like, I'm going to always do something to feel guilty about. You know, it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong, but there's always that guilt. It's like, if someone else has a bad day, it's like, oh my God, what did I do? I'm so sorry. You know, the person that apologizes for things that don't need an apology over and over. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, they feel guilty that you had a bad day. You're just kind of venting. It's like, oh yeah, this happened. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's a different energy of, oh, I'm so sorry you had to go through that, and oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And you see their body language, and you see that it's like they're feeling guilty, like it's their fault. And it's not. It's, you know, it's nobody's fault except how we respond to a situation. But thinking of it as an addiction gives it a whole new kind of thing, right? So how would we work with that? How would we work through that if someone we knew, or ourselves, if we had that addiction or that need to feed that? How do we shut that off? How do we help someone release that? You know, again, going back to what we just said, it's learning to have the understanding of why we're choosing it. Again, what are we getting out of it? What is the positive aspect of it? Again, people laugh, but there has to be a gift in there, or we would not keep perpetrating it. We would not keep repeating these things or these situations, right? As soon as we have that understanding, then we can release it. We can release it, we can shift it, we can replace it if that helps. Because oftentimes, if we're in addiction, no matter what it is, if we have that kind of energy or personality, oftentimes we want to switch it, right? For example, how many people go into the 12-step program to stop drinking, but then they start smoking and drinking coffee at the AA meetings, right? Or whatever. It's switching one for another. Or people quit smoking and then they start eating candy all day long to satisfy that addiction. How do we just turn off the addiction? Or we can replace it with something better. We can replace it with exercise. We can replace it with meditation. We can replace it with nothing. What? We can replace it with breathing clearly. We can replace it with love. We can surround ourselves with love, or with loving people instead of abusive people. We can make ourselves, stay out of the situation, to detach from the addiction. We can walk away from those types of energies altogether if we truly want to. Again, that's the absolutely number one thing, is we have to want to release an addiction of any kind. It's a little bit harder when it's an emotional thing than a physical thing. However, it's possible, and it's just as easy, if not easier, because we can shift and control our emotions, right? What a beautiful concept. We can go from sad to happy if we choose. It's all choice, it's intention. So think about that this week. Are there addictions that you may have that you didn't realize were an addiction? Things that are repeating. Good or not good. Good ones can be fun too, right? Or if you know someone you can help through by observing and going, oh, that makes sense now, right? It's a whole nother world. It makes you see things a little bit differently. And it also gives you a better understanding of people and situations, including ourselves, right? So think about that this week. Release any addictions we don't need, and bring in more love addiction. Addiction to love. Oh wait, maybe I shouldn't do that, because then there's the people that are, there are relationship addicts. There are, oops, scratch it. How about bringing loving thoughts to yourself? Let's get addicted to giving love to ourselves and sharing loving thoughts and energy to other people. Okay, and have a beautiful